All right, we're live right now, and we're going. And I think Valerie, you're bitching and moaning about something.
I think you guys know, but my wife's from Alabama, and so there's this fun
Sorry.
little fact about Alabama. Um, I saw in the news today that they're actually talking about legalizing medical marijuana. What's so interesting about this is that another law in Alabama is that they're not allowed to sell vibrators. So medical marijuana is okay for you, but vibrators, nah.
Worst hard open ever.
Ever.
That's awful.
Ever.
That is awful.
So why don't they do like a buy both get one free type deal then? Like you might as well just make both legal and call it a day.
I mean, I figure
I don't even know where to go with that.
It's such a traditional, it's such a traditional state that you would not expect them to be on the leading edge of medical marijuana. It's Alabama, and then yet they still have all of these other archaic.
And I was going to talk about how I hate taking off tomatoes in my hamburgers when I'm driving. After I get them out from
You shouldn't
Wendy's.
eat while you drive, though. I mean, let's talk about
I
things.
was hungry.
Well, I mean, it's convenient to make phone calls while driving.
All right, guys, this is Crowns and Crows Crowfall podcast with me tonight, Valor and Lakes. I'm Dragan. We have a special guest, as you can see on screen, Pann, director of the community. Very special person. Time for the rundown. Tomorrow is Pann's 1 month anniversary, as she likes to call it, add a P. We're 97% to a new graphics programmer. We need new blood, new people. Is this Eric number 3 or number 2, something like that? There's more Erics. Crowfall has earned about $30,000 since the end of the Kickstarter, and more to come soon. So we need about another $4,000 till we hit that 100% mark for the next stretch goal. And Crowfall now has wyverns. I probably pronounced that wrong, right? I always read it.
I say wyverns.
I call them wyverns.
Wyverns, dragons.
Well, you call wyverns.
But you can't call them dragons. We had this conversation, all right?
Dragons.
It's a subset. It's not even the same geno. I mean, let's not get
all right,
into
nerd, calm down.
Let's not get into that.
Prove it.
Calm down, nerd.
Prove it.
All right.
Nerd alert.
I'll
right.
Wikipedia the hell out of it.
Tonight's topics, we're going to do, obviously, just one. We're going to talk about the community and how people are going to perceive and play Crowfall. And Valor started an excellent... I think it was a non-trolly post this week. I think you did a poor job of getting those people out there, but we did have a good roll with Pann this week, so I think people forgave us. We're gonna talk about how Crowfall and Eve might have some similarities. I mean, it's a Game of Thrones emulator, but it's also an Eve type of thing because we're just killing people and there's really no PvE to be said about anything. So I think there's some valid comparisons out there. But first, I think, in case people don't know who Pann is, or don't know your background, I know you had an excellent post today kind of going over who you are and where you come from. Do you want to give us the TLDR of where you come from and where you're going?
So, like, the really, really short version is that I was the original community manager for Eve, and I've also worked on Tabula Rasa, Auto Assault, Imperium, Galactic War, and now I'm on Crowfall.
Excellent. So Eve was the last one, right? Or no?
No, Eve was the first one.
First one, and that was in linear order there. Okay, so that's how much research I've been doing today. But anyway, okay, so basically we're really interested in Eve. What do you think is going to be the biggest comparison or draw between Eve and Crowfall as the game starts, since you were the original?
Well, I'm lucky because I see both sides of the fence. So I see the similarities in a small group of people taking on a huge project with tremendous potential.
Okay.
And having some idea of how big it could be. But I think in the early days of Eve, we didn't know how huge it would wind up being.
Right.
We just wanted to make something cool, something that the guys who founded the company would want to play themselves. And it's that same kind of passion that I see now with Artcraft. Small group of people, but this time they actually know what they're doing.
Yeah.
We were back in the early days of CCP. It was just a bunch of people who, they had technical knowledge, but as far as like getting an MMO out there, it was a lot of fly by the seat of your pants and learn as you go.
I can only
But
guess.
that was also, yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna put in a quick joke. Are you guys allowed to say cf.exe anywhere in the audience, in the studios at all? With
Related to the
Shadowbane,
Shadowbane.
EXE,
Yeah, see, she
okay,
comes
never
more
mind.
from the.
Never mind. Okay,
Yeah,
I guess that's
yeah,
unheard.
so-
We're not allowed to even talk about it. I guess that's why.
No, so here's the thing: is that Shadowbane was in development the same time as Eve. We were it was Shadowbane and Earth and Beyond, and I have a great Earth and Beyond story, and Eve and some other ones that were so. We were so busy making our own stuff that I knew Shadowbane was there, and I would read stuff about it, but I never played it. I just didn't have the bandwidth for it.
But okay, let's do a quick little reset. I want to announce now, so we can give people some time. We're gonna do during the after show a beta test of a call-in show. If this actually works and it comes off good, we're gonna actually do it as part of the actual show. But because it's the after show, we can do whatever we want. We're gonna do it there, so it's gonna have a little fun. So, GameVox. Valor's going to put a link in chat, and that's where you go, and you can sign up, download it, and figure it out. It's really easy to do. It takes 2 seconds to set up. It's a really cool program, so give it a shot. All right, so what makes Eve politics, in your mind, Eve politics? Like, what makes it so strong or
yeah,
so
this
attractive?
kind of goes back to the first question, too. Mm-hmm. I only talked about seeing things from behind the curtain. So outwardly, I certainly didn't, and I think very few of us on the early Eve side of things knew what it would turn into as far as like the absolute pinnacle of sabotage. Like, that's what really gets people into Eve. Isn't the whole thing about, oh, I can fly a spaceship and go out and hang out with my mates and blow some stuff up. It's the capacity for, like, I think the best example for it was a guy who spent a year building up trust and then coming in and completely toppling a rival corporation. Not only that, but the guy who did it, the guy who actually did the dirty work, had been hired by a rival corporation. So he went in as like a corporate mole and spent an entire year building up that trust and stuff. And I absolutely believe that sort of thing could be possible with Crowfall. It took a long time for Eve to build up to where it is now and the stuff that you see now. Like, one of the things that we would show when we do presentations is this influence map, where you have the map of the world, and in time lapse it shows how these powers shift.
Yep, I think we've all seen that at some point in the last decade or so.
So I think that Crowfall, even though it's not a persistent world, I think that in time we will see those kinds of power shifts. I absolutely believe that. I do think that's possible.
Valor Lakes, have you guys ever played a game where there was like ultra high politics or any kind of like community driven drama? I guess you can kind of put on the lowest form of that.
No, like, I guess the biggest thing that I ever did was like competitive ladders. Like, people would make Smurf teams to play against other teams and purposely knock them down on ladders and stuff like that. That was kind of big in Guild Wars 1.
Yeah, I remember that.
And that was like, it wasn't necessarily politicking. It was just literally going out and griefing another guild or team. But I haven't had the chance to really dive into Eve and get into those politics. But I think that's probably one of the biggest games, because you look in... Pann, you said it about the infiltration type stuff, and
that's
you
right
actually
up your alley, dude.
News articles about it. Yeah, like, I could definitely be a spy and make it happen. But they even make news articles about like the monetary value behind it. But I guess what you can attach to that value is the time and effort it took to get that, and it's just awesome to even hear that kind of stuff.
Well, you know, a game gets to that level when some of the MMO fan sites or news sites out there actually start reporting like in-game events with Eve, and that's like, you don't see that with any other game unless you're talking about like World of Warcraft World First and stuff like that, which really doesn't even happen that much anymore these days anyway.
No, I have even better example is that we had set up an interview for the CEO of CCP, the company that makes Eve, set up an interview with him with a reporter from the New York Times, and they were the guy lived in New York, obviously, and the CEO was in town, so we're like, hey, why don't you meet up and have dinner? And the reporter had to excuse himself early from dinner to to go home and get ready because his corporation at Eve was going to attack some other people that night. This is a New York Times reporter who was that hooked on the game, had a chance to have dinner with the CEO. He's like, oops, I got to bail. I got to go get my ship ready.
Would it have been awkward to pull out his laptop and like eat the steak while trying to game at the same time? Like I would have
the CEO of CCP.
Well, here's the thing though is that is there's a lot of monetary involvement, and if it wasn't just them putting money into the game, it's them putting time, and it's like what Lake was saying is. With a game like Eve, you spend so much time, which equates to money.
Well, almost any MMO is going to have that.
And any MMO is going to have that, but to just go out there and lose it, and then if you have someone come in and use subterfuge to destroy whatever it is that you're trying to build, I mean, I see the potential there for Crowfall. We don't know how the system's going to be fleshed out. I mean, we're pre-alpha. I mean, there's literally stuff that's still being built, and so when I see the potential for Crowfall, I think it's going to be related more towards the ladder rankings. I don't know that there's going to be as much, because it's not permanent. You can't permanently lose the most important stuff to you.
Let's segue off of that because I think that's a good discussion about player behavior and player expectations within a game, which is that's to me that's a really big topic because basically that's all we can talk about. And I love discussing player behavior. And Pann, what's the talk around town with as far as risk versus reward and actually they talk about being able to loot gear gets broken down and you can lose it and all that other stuff. How serious are they about the? I guess I don't really care about the game design elements, but the actual putting in that risk factor of losing your shit in the game.
I am going to have to take the fifth on that. Because here's why. Okay, I am not a game designer. Never pretend to be a game designer. Have no desire to be a game designer.
Mm-hmm.
And I see things on the wall on post-it notes.
I mean, I understand that, but
so I don't know what's safe to talk about, and I don't want to say things that would undermine them or would be wrong just because I happen to hear something in the office. A lot of my time right now is spent fixing stuff on the website. Okay. So yeah.
Well, let's talk about. Let me phrase it a different way then. I mean, in a game like Eve, like everybody mentioned, in order to have great drama, you have to have great loss or great gain, either way.
Yes.
And somebody has to lose something. Somebody has to win something, and that's territory control. That's losing a ship that took 3 years to make, 3 months to make, or whatever the equivalent is in the capital ships in Eve. I think Crowfall has that. I mean, now talk to me about this. Do you think that you'll get that much player investment or emotion when a campaign is 3 to 6 months, and maybe you spent a month building something and lose it, but knowing that it's going to go away anyway once the campaign ends? Or is that 1 month of investment of time going to give a player that much loss or feeling of loss, or somebody else's pleasure of gaining it or destroying it?
Okay, here's what I imagine will happen more than once.
Mm-hmm.
Is, in my head, I think of it as the Braveheart scenario. Okay, so you're going to have these groups, and maybe they start out very fragmented. People go in, say it's the dregs, and people go in with their own little groups, and you get hooked up, and then as people die or fall out or whatever happens, you have these alliances that shift and form, and then somebody's going to turn. You're going to have a William Wallace kind of guy out there waving his flag, and everybody's supposed to run to him, and they don't. There is going to be that absolute, undeniable betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
And anything you have in embargo, you lose. If you lose, you don't have any of your stuff in embargo. And I think those kind of losses are going to be gut-wrenching. And I expect some people who aren't used to that or they can't handle it will quit, but it's going to be a larger percentage of people who are going to be like, F that guy and the words he ran in on, I'm going to sign up for the next bout because I'm going to get that bastard back.
So you think that the major loss and gain is not maybe the stuff that you lose and gain during the campaign, but what happens at the finish line?
I think so, yeah, because you don't know until the last minute. I think it ain't over till it's over.
Gotcha.
And I think that things can ebb and shift. It's like right before we started this, I was watching Survivor, and they always come down to the whole blindside thing. And I think we'll see a lot of blindsiding in some of these campaigns in Crowfall. Absolutely. And you see, I get excited about it because that's the kind of stuff that's going to rock it.
How about for you LOTD boys over here? Do you, if you're coordinating all your troops to come together and build those fortifications, guarding a mine, doing whatever we're going to end up doing during the campaign, and let's say another big dick comes over and smashes it, or Alliance smashes it, or something like that, are you going to feel that loss, or are you just going to be more, from a scale of Guild Wars 2, where I don't care if we lose the keep because we're going to get it back in 5 hours, to like, I just lost my cap ship in Eve that took a year to make and whatever. Like, where are you going to fit on that scale if you lose your keep versus how are you going to feel when in Pann scenario where you lose the embargo?
That's a really, really good question, and I think that what people are focusing on when we have this discussion is, these campaigns, they're not permanent. They're not, but the people in the game are, and the guilds in the game are, and while, if under the unlikely and impossible scenario that LOTD ever lost anything or died on the battlefield, if that ever did occur in an alternate universe, what we would have to do is we'd have to look at it and we'd have to say is like, what is more important? Is the big picture going to support us going back and body camping these people until Artcraft comes and says, hey, Valor, we need you guys to not do this to our customers because they're going to quit? All right, but seriously, you have to look at the big picture. Is what's going to be more beneficial? Is griefing these people in the next campaign, or if we're already going to lose this campaign, is it better to grief them there, or what? As bad as it sounds, do we take a knee?
But
eat our losses, lick our wounds, go back and
let's
start
talk. Let's refocus the question though. What kind of emotion are you going to be feeling? Yeah, I mean, like you lost in a game, and like when Lakes loses
it's reputation in these games. It's reputation.
But
I removed you off my friends list, because I'm pissed, right?
Yeah.
But you go back and you play again, though. But like, where's the emotion? Right. I mean, when you lose in like a league game or an FPS game, you get pissed off. But you go and you play another game, and your record might shift. But Eve emotion is like Pann said, the ultimate loss is a guy worked a year to destroy a corporation and he pulled it off, and that's this epic story that's like, holy shit, that actually happened. And
but at the core of that, it's the betrayal.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not the loss of the stuff. I think betrayal from somebody that you trust is the absolute most painful pain you can feel.
But like the viewer, the person that's reading about it, which I think is more important than the two people that they're interacting with, that because that makes me want to play the game. And that's what draws people in. So in order for that to be a great drama, somebody has to be really, really pissed off and not have that come through, and not be like, I'm really angry that I lost my keep last night, but 2 days later you're trying hard back again. I mean, it's got to hurt. So LOTD boys, like, does your emotion go strong if you spent a month building a keep and you lose it, or do you keep on going, or is that something that's like crushing?
Yeah, I mean, it can be crushing.
It's hard to put it there.
It can be crushing to, especially younger communities who they've spent. This is their first chance at a real large-scale PvP game, and as they go into that, the pinnacle of their achievement is building this keep, this castle. And so when they lose that, they then get to deal with that kind of issue. LOTD has lost castles, keeps. We've lost stuff like this before, and it hurts. People quit. Some people just like, if it, that's gone in past games. It is the Uncle Bob scenario where if you lose it, I mean, good luck trying to get that back. And there's a lot of the bandwagon jumping and stuff along those lines. And so, I mean, we've seen it. And in a game like Crowfall, it's going to be reputation. You're going to be, pissed about. You're going to be pissed about losing all of those resources. There's going to be a lot of resignation that people feel immediately after losing something, and you have to combat all of that. And so, it isn't going to have that immediate effect of, oh, I just lost everything for the past year that I've worked on. But it is going to still be, communities are still going to have to fight for survival in this game. And that's where I see the impact of things happening in non-permanent campaigns.
I can't ask
Yeah.
Pann this. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pann.
No, I was going to say, I think that's where the comparison to Eve comes in and where it probably rings the truest. Like the gameplay for Crowfall certainly is not going to be the same as Eve, but I think that we will have those strong emotions. And I'll tell you something else, too. Like, as far as I can remember, when I first started to work on Eve, and that was my first real job in the game industry, being a community person, and I would get these just heart-wrenching emails and support tickets from somebody who got ganked and lost everything that they had worked for months and months. And literally, I would cry. I would feel so bad. And I would go to the lead designer and say, can't we do something for this guy? Like, he's going to quit. He's lost everything, and we're going to lose this player. And they would look at me and just go, it's the game. It's the game. And then eventually I was kind of like, I was like the old woman in a shoe, with all the kids running, like crying, like, walk it off, take some Robitussin.
Change your socks.
Yeah.
That's what they
But
tell
I
us.
can
in
remember
Rainbow.
it was really hard on me in the beginning I felt so bad because these people were just heartbroken.
Mm-hmm.
So sorry, anybody who plays Crowfall, it'll be fun to read the stories, but
Your
No
goodbye
sympathy from
posts
the
are going to
fans,
be
yeah.
starred and posted on the wall. I can't ask
Yeah.
Pann this question, but Lakes, I'm going to ask you. Other than like keeps and stuff, what do you expect? And here's my what if question of the show. What other things in Crowfall do you think are worth the pain of loss that you're going to feel? Like forts are something, but like what do you think you're going to lose?
I think that's all short-term emotions. You're going to have people that are going to turn on each other within a set campaign, and obviously short-term being maybe a couple months, 6 months down the road.
Yep.
The stretch, like Pam was saying, where you have different sides trying to turn on each other to win this campaign. But I think the long-term kind of betrayal is going to be if you're sitting on that tournament ladder and you purposely go out into a campaign to shut down that second place team or that third place team or someone that's real close to getting into the tournament, you go into their campaign and you stop them from winning. You stop them from getting to that point. I think it's going to be more of a tournament griefing type thing that's going to play out over multiple type campaigns
That's a good
versus
point.
just one campaign. I think the one campaign's a short-term emotion. Yeah, you're going to be a little upset you just lost that match per se. But the big part is consistently doing that to somebody over a period of time to keep their guild from ever making it to a ladder. Like if I'm scared of a specific guild and I'm the second place guild and I'm the close to being knocked off the ladder and a guild that's coming up, I may go out to stop them from progressing within campaigns.
Sure.
I may be that person that causes that betrayal. I go in there with the whole group of people and I shut them down specifically, not trying to win, but to shut them from winning that campaign to keep yourself at the top.
I think that is an excellent point that I forgot to. I didn't even think about is the whole tournament scene. I think if Ace puts it together and actually does a good job of putting together a good tournament system that's not just like here's a starred campaign, go fight, but there's actual structure to it. That's really going to crush people because that's your yearly campaign tournament or seasonal campaign tournament that you're going to take victories behind. Campaigns themselves are like, I guess, normal games in League of Legends or something like that, and the tournaments are the actual ranked games where you care about. Pann, can you comment on any of that? I mean, I don't want to push you, but like, what's the temperament behind the tournament system with all this? Can you say anything? Okay.
Oh, sorry, you're breaking up on us there, Pann.
All right. I mean, I see.
Again, I hear things and
You can't
I
say
do
no.
not
No, I don't want you to get in trouble. I know.
Yeah.
I mean, we were on the pre-show with Pann. I'm like, Pann, I'm not going to ask you any questions about the game. I know you're not a designer, but I'm a giant asshole, so I'm asking a couple questions here and there. So they'll slip out. They'll slip out.
You know
I
what?
apologize.
You wouldn't be doing your job if you didn't try.
That's true.
You
That's
wouldn't
true.
be doing your job if you didn't try. But I want to know one thing. I think that all of this leads into and points to is at the very core of it. It's the bragging rights,
Yeah,
right?
Sure.
Yeah.
Right.
It goes exactly into
It's all
what
about
Lex
the
was talking
eating.
about. Exactly. What is it? Timed penis? What time
There
is
is.
it?
How far did we get into this? Oh my gosh.
TTP. There you go.
25 minutes.
So none of this stuff is real, and I don't care how beautiful your eternal kingdom is, or how many keeps you have, and how.
Can you say that again, please, for all those people out there that love the eternal kingdoms? We don't care what they look like. Can you?
At the end of the day, that's not going to matter to anybody so much as the bragging rights. I was there the night that this happened. I was there the night that we did this.
Lake feels like he knows somebody who's going to matter to a little bit more.
Yeah, like imagine if you can have multiple things. Like you don't necessarily get a castle per se, but let's say I get to walk around with a golden cape and no one else gets to. Like that's pretty much bragging rights. Or if I get a castle dripping in gold, like that's bragging rights. Like I get to flaunt that. It's not anything that really matters to me. The thing that I like is if it's not obtainable from everybody, if it's given as a reward for some kind of competitive, so that bragging rights, like you were saying, and that could relate to anything, whether it's a ladder on the website or whether it's going to be a cosmetic that you get to wear. Like I like gold, I like gold in game and I like to wear it. So.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, the uniqueness is really good. And I think Valor, we were talking about this last week's show, and we were mentioning. I think it was last week's. I don't know if it was during the show or the 5-hour after show that we had, but we were talking about how Crowfall. You can have unique items in a campaign, where in like World of Warcraft, you can't have a unique item because if only one person had it, they have it forever. But in Crowfall, you can have one unique item. They're going to lose it anyway at the end of the campaign. So you can have a server-only mighty sword. So again, there's more bragging rights for people out there, and I think that's the loss of like the super-duper sword that you spent all campaign crafting after 2.5 months, and you can slay people. And Lakes comes by
for like 3 days.
Yeah, and Lakes kills you, and it gets a parade around it. Like,
well, I like this concept from. MUDs, the multi-user domains, Telnet, all that fun jazz. A lot of those had relics, and there was only one of these relics in that whole world. And once you got it, you became kind of
also
the boss.
Those games only had 200 people ever playing them, so it was a little bit.
Well, I mean, hey, we're talking it's semantics.
Well, whatever. But no, you're right though. You're right. I mean, it goes back to even later shows or earlier shows that we had, and what Tommy B was saying about we lost a lot of things from old games, like the being able to have level restrictions or no level restrictions. Mm-hmm. And Raph Koster actually had a really good developer post or developer blog that he posted about. He was talking about Star Wars Galaxy and a couple old design elements that he was having. And it says you can't drop items anymore. When did we lose the ability to put an item on the ground and leave it there and somebody can pick it up? You can't do that anymore. So, I mean, we're kind of going away from the original topic, but but these are all things that allow people to grief. Like, in UO, you drop something and somebody can snatch it up while you're trying to trade it or something like that. EverQuest was the same way, and I mean, there's a lot of different things. Like, it sounds corny and it sounds like role playing ish, but there are people out there lurking in the shadows, waiting you to drop something to snatch it right back up. So,
or to steal it. There's the whole talking about will thieves in. Will thieves and Crowfall be able to steal things from other people? Will they be able to snoop them? Well, that was huge in UO. Mike Wallace, the producer for EVE Online, we actually met as Ultima Online players. And he and a buddy of his in the game had been saving up money to buy a castle. They were going to get the deed for a castle. Are you guys familiar with UO at all? Did you ever play it?
I did not play it. I'm
familiar with it.
I've studied it.
Okay, so a castle cost $1 million gold. It took a long time to save it up, and you would go into town and you would buy this little deed. It was just a little piece of paper in the game, and then you would take it and you would like double click on it in your backpack, and then a ghost image of the castle would appear, or house or whatever it was, and then you had to find a level piece of ground to place it. And if there were any bumps or twigs, you couldn't place it. The thing would go back in your pack. But eventually they changed it. Just like we're raising a nation of little wussy kids where they can't play kickball at school or any of that. So
I'm so glad you said that.
Anyway, so got wussified. But before that, it was hardcore, and people could steal deeds out of each other's backpacks. If you were a thief, you could steal a deed. Anyway, so Mike and this buddy of ours, Issy, had saved up, bought a deed for a castle. And Mike had a hockey game to go to. He's like, Issy, don't do anything with this. Wait till I get home and we'll go together. And that way, if somebody tried to steal it from him, Mike could kill that person. Well, about 20 minutes after Mike left, my phone rings, like my real phone rings, and it's Issy, and he goes, "What I'm gonna tell Mikey?" He's from the Philippines. It's a really cool accent. What I'm gonna tell Mikey? And I was like, "What happened?" And then all of a sudden, like, he's telling me what happened, and I said, "Dude, you are so screwed." And so then Mike comes online on ICQ, and Issy says,
ICQ.
"Stay on the phone with me." Yeah, Issy said, "Stay on the phone with me. I got to call him, but stay on the phone. Like, I don't want to talk to him by myself." So he calls up Mike, and I hear Mike answer the phone, and Issy goes, "Mikey, buddy." Mike's immediate response was, "God damn it, Issy, what did you do?" So in a way, even though I lost things like that, I didn't lose a castle deed, but I had people steal stuff from me, you know, nice weapons and whatnot. I lost items to thieves, and I would get angry about it, but I hope we can do that in Crowfall.
Yep. Well, you have a lot of people who agree with you on that, too.
Yeah.
You know, I've seen a lot of support for it. Blake, did you have something that you were going to touch on, or did we cover that already?
You're muted, dude. Come on.
You're muted.
Be a professional.
Noob. Still muted?
No, I'm not muted. So I was going to talk about, I guess it's a little too late, but
Hats off
every
too tight.
guild / everybody has their own Izzy, right? Like we have our own Izzy and
yeah.
LTE as well. So it's just really funny. I like that story. Sorry.
Oh, shoot.
I lost.
In Darkfall, you know, the day the game launched, and by launch, I mean stumbled and crawled as if it was drunk.
That really
and
didn't even launch,
and missing
really.
a leg. Recently missing a leg. You know, but the big thing was, I got a raft, which is this rare thing that, you know, we weren't supposed to get. Oh man, I lost that in like 30 minutes. And so, you know, so lots of ribbing on that.
I know, but they're great stories, even if you lost it, especially when you lost it. They're great stories. You know, the story of I had this thing, or I was there when so-and-so. Like, everybody likes to tell that they were there the day that Lord British got killed in UO.
Right. Yep.
And there weren't that many people there, but everybody was there.
Everyone says, oh yeah, I totally remember that.
Well, I mean,
I can't wait till we have our own version of Leroy Jenkins in Crowfall.
I mean,
somebody's going to be a Leroy.
It might be because I'll be like calling the strats, right? And then I'm like, all right, boys, when I go in and I initiate this, everyone on me, right? And then I'd go in and everyone would be like, wait, what's he doing?
what's the signal again?
What's like, dude, I swear
weren't you supposed to count down from 3?
Well, I mean,
I know, but the thing is with WoW, and I played WoW for a long time, and I loved that game. I mean, it's great for what it is, but you're going and like if you're in a
so
raid,
many
you know,
hate PMs coming your way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Don't you say WoW and Crowfall in the same sentence?
No, we learned that 2 weeks ago.
scripted thing. Yeah, it's the scripted thing, and you go and you have these raids, and it's tough. I mean, even then, you've got to figure out the strategy for defeating them. But it's like, okay, go here, go do that. Like you have to connect the dots, and that's what has me excited about Crowfall also, and why I was so excited to work on it. Is that's all gone. There's no hand holding. We are completely off the rails. Yeah. So the kinds of videos and voice things that we're going to hear, like Lex was just talking about, where you're setting everything up and you're so careful, those are going to be hilarious.
Well,
I can't wait to hear those.
Let's since you're talking about hearing things and stuff like that. Right now, the Crowfall community is quite small in the forums. There's some definite, how should we put it, individuals.
Passionate
Individuals.
Passionate.
Yes,
I think the forums call them players.
Now, how much experience would you say you have in modern pre-alpha forums? Because aren't they your favorite?
Dealing with this
community.
I was counting. So let's see.
Oh, you told us to stay away from math. We're sorry, Dragon. How dare you?
And Autosalt and Tabula Rasa and Imperium. So 4 times. This will be my 5th time.
Okay.
Working on a community that's just getting ramped up. I love it. I really that's It may look like shit to other people, but it's my bread and butter. And
Has anyone given?
Well, I mean, if that's the job you're going to have, you have to love it.
And so I was like, I always say, God bless them. They bought me a Mini Cooper. So thanks for the Mini Cooper. I do love it. Every day is different. It's not the same old thing. And maybe I shouldn't say this because it kind of encourages some bad behavior, but that's going to happen anyway.
Yep.
Even a troll can, they give other people something to rally around.
Sure.
Like a good troll, devil's advocate, that's what makes it fun.
I think we
And
got
that's
15
why
pages.
I don't want to be. Yeah, that's why I don't want to be a game designer, because this is what I want to do. I'm a community developer. I don't want to be a game developer.
Well, I mean, for me, I've been doing fan sites and community stuff just as a hobby more than anything else for the last 6, 7, 8 years or so. And if you don't have antagonism, if you don't have a reason to log on and post, then it's going to be boring. Like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if Crowfall you were able to turn your cape red? Like, no one wants to read that thread 300 different times every single day. I mean, or anything else like that. It's boring, especially now when there's no game information coming out, and
Yeah.
not to bash your guys putting out your Crowfall updates, but that Wyvern update. I mean, it's cool. We got to see some cool art. I like that. Gives me new backgrounds and stuff like that. But
Lore,
I didn't read it. I mean, I'm
You
sorry.
didn't read it?
No,
Of course you did.
I didn't
Of
read
course
it either.
I mean,
I
but
didn't-
I appreciate it.
I would be disappointed if you, and I'm talking about you, not all of you.
Yes.
I would be disappointed if you said you read it.
No.
I would be like, we are not doing our job. We are not antagonizing this man enough. You are not suffering.
Teasing me with all that stuff. No, but the whole point is, I mean, I think Gordon said this during the Kickstarter when the forums were kicking up. It's a game about bloodthirsty PvP. I mean, you're gonna have to expect some forum PvP, and I think we had that our Valor's excellent Crowfall equals WoW post that we had, and it was like 1,000 pages long. And I want to talk to you about that. I want to talk to you about that. But somebody got really butthurt over something or the other, and I said, and I think I tweeted this out, and it might be Scree that's sitting in there.
Probably.
Was that him that I yelled? I was like, look,
I don't know if
anybody who
it's
takes
Scree
a
or-
forum internet seriously is already lost. It's a game.
no.
Come on, relax.
Yes, it is the game, but there are people who, that's the game for them.
Yeah.
Here, let me tell you this
Well,
great
it's true.
story.
That's true.
Let me tell you a great story about what happened very early on with Eve, and I mean we weren't even in alpha yet.
Okay.
So we had these two big corporations that had already formed, and they had already divided the lines on the forum. So you have the Endless Corp over here, and you've got Taggart Industries over here. They were the two big ones, and they had already formed their corporation. Like I said, no, everybody had just barely seen screenshots of the game. We weren't even out. So they start playing the game on the forum. So there becomes this big forum war between the Endless Corp and Taggart. Endless Corp had a logo that was red and white, and it was sort of like a swirl. So all of a sudden, Taggart starts posting these images that are World War II propaganda posters
Oh, no.
where they replace the swastikas with the Endless Corp logo.
I'm a little impressed. I mean,
That's what
to be
Eve's the
honest.
best stuff for. Is all the
Okay.
recruitment posts, and we're starting a war
Yes.
and all that stuff. That's
So
great.
this goes on, and the corporation CEO for Endless Corp, he is indignant. He's telling me, hey, I had relatives who died in the concentration camps in Poland. I find this absolutely offensive. What are you going to do? And there's all this stuff going back and forth. The moral of the story is that when all the dust settled, we found out that the CEO for Endless Corp and Taggart had orchestrated all of this together, and the Endless Corp CEO, who had been offended because his relatives died in concentration camps in Poland, he was the one who made the posters.
wow.
Perfect.
I mean,
perfect.
it's a lot of fun when one of the terms that's going to be thrown around a lot is forum fall, which will be the
Yes.
politicking.
Oh, I've already seen it.
Well, a lot of the guilds, really interested in Crowfall come from, a long history of PvP games. Darkfall being one of the big predecessors. So it's always fun there. I did have a couple of questions for you, kind of relating to your vision for the community, the forums, what direction you intend on taking them. I know that you talked about this a little bit in a thread that you put up shortly before the show, so that I couldn't talk about it too much.
No. You know what? I tried hours to get that posted because I did want it to go up in plenty of time where people could see it, and if they wanted to talk about it tonight, we could talk about it. But just I kept getting pulled away.
Yeah. Well, we know, Tolly was filling the big shoes of community manager as well as everything else that he was doing. Can you talk a little bit about where you want to see the community go? I know they talked about the word filter. There's obviously been a little bit of talk on some of the volunteer moderators, which I actually don't see that being as big of an issue. A lot of people got very up in arms about it because people have taken ownership of this is our forum, this is our community. You know what? They're serving a role. Appreciate them. Applause. But where do you see the community of Crowfall going? What sort of features do you want to see put into the website, and how do you want to spend money on it?
Well, we have a lot of plans already lined up and long-term plans and how much can we get thrown in really early. One of the changes that I really want to get in as soon as possible is something that would affect you guys. Right now, there's just a forum thread that talks about all the podcasts and here's the game sites and here's the schedule. I want something that's easier to find. Plus, that depends on the kindness of whoever originally made that to go in and edit it. And so I want to add a section of the website that specifically highlights all the fan outlets. We should just call them fan sites, but they're not just fan sites anymore.
Yeah.
I don't know why you guys call yourself a podcast when I would think of it as a webcast, kind of a misnomer. But anyway, so that's really important. You want it?
Blue Lake's mind.
Anyway, so I think it's really important for people in the community to have a sense of ownership. So when people, and like you were talking about people getting up in arms and they already feel that, that's great. That's what we want them to feel. I want them to feel a sense of ownership. I want them to feel like they're valued and their opinions matter. That's not to say that if you start a petition, like somebody had asked the other day on the forum when we posted new job listings, and somebody said, "Hey, if you've got two candidates for a job, do we get to vote?" Let the community vote on who gets hired. And I love Gordon. Gordon's just like, no.
Terrible idea.
Have you had to talk to any of your coworkers about their posting habits?
Not
leave
here,
that very general, but I just
very specific.
No, not here, not yet, but yes, those are conversations that I've had to have in the past, and I've also had to say, please don't have sex with the volunteers when they're in town.
Yeah.
If you find yourself alone with a reporter, please keep your pants on. These are actual conversations I have had to have.
It worked for Tony Stark. Just saying.
The game industry is so crazy, for God's sakes. No one's professional. Come on, guys. Keep your pants on. If we're going to learn anything about tonight's podcast, keep your pants on, please. I mean, I'm not wearing any pants right now, but if you had them, up, please.
No, it's true in the game industry like it is anywhere else, like all the nude beaches and stuff like that. It's never the people you want to see naked that want to be naked. I don't know why.
Who do you want to see naked, Pann?
I'm not exactly sure how we got here.
Johnny Depp?
Not exactly sure how we got here. But
I guess good choice because Valerie also said the same thing earlier today.
Well, I mean, okay. Well, let's steer this back to the forum so we can give.
Okay. All right.
Let's allow you to make a couple people excited. I'm going to put you on the spot here. Who are some of your favorite posters right now?
Is it Current? Is it? Yeah, I think that's the person's name. Current 101. Is that it, or Ball?
Corrent?
Yep.
Yeah, Corrent
we know
or
him.
whatever.
Yep.
So here's why. Sometimes you have to pay people to proofread your stuff. Or I have to call somebody away from their desk to come and proofread something that I've written.
Mm-hmm.
He eliminates that need.
There you go.
Very helpful. In fact, I have a list of things that I need to go back on the website and fix because that kind soul has taken time out of his or her day to help me out there.
There's always
And
one
I've never-
grammar person out there.
No,
And it drives me nuts. Like, how many times? Like, there. Like, it's all the same thing. You just read it, baby.
I do know the difference in those things. But, when you're typing and you're hurrying and you've got Gordon going, where are we? Are we there yet? Is it up? Is it up? Is it up?
So it's Gordon's fault.
It's all Gordon's fault. It's
There we
always
go.
Gordon's fault.
There we go.
He's,
All right.
he's watching, too, by the way.
After twisting
shame on
arms.
Oh,
Gordon.
no, it's never Gordon's I love
Never
Gordon.
Gordon's fault.
After water torture, we finally were able to find out whose fault it is.
Hey, Val,
Well,
did you want to go into your infamous WoW thread or anything else?
Oh, gosh.
Let's ask Pann her reaction to the whole thing, because you were worried, like, I can't go too far, we're going to get banned,
man.
friend's going to get locked.
You
What
know,
was,
so
what was
our-
the internal?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
our whole our struggle is that when we go to post something, we want to get people's attention and we want them to talk about it. And the easiest way to do that is simply to antagonize them. But that's not the nice thing to do, and it definitely makes people's jobs more difficult who might or might not be our guest on the show right now. And so, going into a thread like that, and I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but I mean, how do you see when you see people obviously out there, but there's just nothing else to talk about?
That's exactly it. And here's what I don't like to see, not only on our forums, but anywhere, is people who are just being mean and nasty for the sake of being mean and nasty. And that's part of, I kind of touched on that in the thing that I posted today about my viewpoint on community, is you can have a disagreement with somebody. You can take opposing views. Debate is healthy. And certainly in the thread that you're talking about, the WoW comparisons are normal.
Yep.
I've been married. I'm on my third husband, and it is inevitable that comparisons will happen. When I was married to so-and-so, he was a jerk.
I mean,
So that kind of stuff, or the comparisons with Eve and Crowfall.
Yep.
I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with people discussing things. I do have a problem with people being mean just for the sake of being mean. And also, a lot of the words in the language filter, let's talk about that thing too. The filter that Tully set up, and he told me that was day one, and he said, you're going to want to change some of this. And I looked through it, and I'm just going, if I was working on Wizard 101, where it's predominantly a younger audience,
Mm-hmm.
or Hello Kitty Online, or whatever,
Good game.
would definitely have to have things like that in play. But we're supposed to be grown-ups. We're supposed to be mature. And, sometimes there's no other word for somebody than to call him an ass. An ass is an ass. Let's call it what it is. If somebody's being an ass.
How many are we allowed on the show? 4, 5 asses?
Oh, we have to,
we're fine. It's
okay.
I'm just giving you grief.
I'm hanging on to my F-bomb for when I really need it.
that's the after show.
After show. Right.
Okay. Anyway, so that kind of stuff, I just want to give people enough room to be comfortable and want to be part of the community and want to interact with each other. And I didn't have a problem with the WoW thread. Look on the front page of our website. It says, Game of Thrones meets Eve Online. We make those comparisons ourselves.
I think
So
people
everybody makes comparisons.
I think just people hate World of Warcraft, and they have the and every single game out there. Just go back to WoW. Just go back to. I'm like, it's just video
I
games.
loved WoW. I had a good time in WoW.
I'm sending you
for
an
what it
angry
is.
personal message right now. How dare you like that Care Bear
I
game?
got through the first town. I got
I am
through
a
the
Care
first
Bear.
town, and that's as far as I got. That is as
I am
far.
such a
like,
Care Bear.
Honest, I don't know how.
Who said the word Care Bear in my show?
I don't know how
I did.
a real
I
competitive
am a Care
peak here.
Bear.
I mean, it's something that I struggle with, and I try to be the zen, middle ground of the show, and I still struggle with dealing with people online saying just the most ridiculous stuff. So, props
here's
to
the thing.
you.
Like I've had death threats because I banned somebody.
Yeah.
I've had some great hate mail. My son-in-law, his favorite hate mail that I ever got, I used to have it like printed out and hanging on the wall in my office. That the subject line was "Canada hates you." So apparently, Canada had elected this one guy spokesperson for the entire country, and they all hated me, and he got the privilege of telling me so. So I've got
Canada doesn't hate many people.
But I know,
mean,
so
that is wall
badge of honor. Yeah. So I mean, I'm kind of used to it. Like I said, back in the early days, I was really sensitive, and that stuff would get to me. And now it's like, walk it off.
You need to have a thick skin.
Better men have called me worse.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
I don't worry about it.
Lakes brought up at the beginning of the show, and I believe I stopped the conversation because I wanted to save it for the show because it was some good stuff. Lakes, you were talking about the NDA,
right?
And
So
other stuff?
overall, I talked about some other development companies, and Waystone Games is really big on doing a lot of community outreach. One, they like to promote their local streamers, and they work to help get them Twitch partnered and all this kind of stuff. They put up a whole network. So one, is that something you guys planned on doing? And I'm going to elaborate a little more. And then two, a lot of things that they did was they streamed a lot of behind the scenes, what's happening within the development studio. Maybe get Tully on there, some kind of Eric to do some artwork, or Tully to tell some jokes, or some you guys playing the game. Or is there going to be a lot of interaction coming from your guys' side of the house, whether it's going to be streaming or help work to get maybe some smaller streamers of your game that you guys feel are quality and get them a little more Twitch noticeability to help, one, your dedicated viewers or your dedicated players, and then two, to help promote your community?
Well, I think that the first live stream I'm going to do is brewing a cup of coffee from the coffee that they sent me from the Golden Glory podcast, and I'm going to dedicate that all to Dragon because he apparently had a problem with that coffee shipment.
This is a wonderful segue into a topic that I think Dragon wants to talk about.
But hold on to that. So let me answer Mike's question for real. I just had to throw that in there because I've just been waiting for the coffee thing to come up. So it is very important to me that, going back to the whole thing about community ownership. So while I certainly would, you can't stop laughing. I am so gonna get it.
He's just tired.
I have some technical difficulties.
No, this is a PvP podcast. Oh no, webcast. Bring it on. Let's go.
Anyway, I do think that we would love to do some live stuff and maybe not even live, but record things in advance. But what I am more excited about and what I want to encourage and facilitate even more is more of this kind of stuff, to put it in the hands of the players. Here's how I've always felt about games, whether it's my game or somebody else's. The second that you put it up for sale, it's not yours anymore. Now, it used to be more so with games that we would put in boxes. You sell the game in the store, but now, especially with like crowdfunded stuff, Todd has said it many times, and Gordon has said it, we work for you guys. You have a sense of ownership, and a lot earlier in the development process now than people used to have. But the second that we hand it to you, the second that you invest in it, it's yours. You have a sense of ownership, and I want to see what gets people excited. And this is how we find out what people want and what they like in games and what they don't, is by listening to this sort of thing, and you having your own stage to voice those opinions and to talk about the stuff that's important to you, instead of us just constantly spoon feeding and here we're going to show you this much of what we know is really this big. I'm glad that we're past all of that now.
Well, I think personally from seeing and being part of a lot of alpha and beta development over a long period of time from many different games is, a lot of alpha communities become very insular, especially the ones that are in the secret alpha or the secret beta, when it's like 30 people, 100 people, 200 people, that type of thing. Is you get a giant echo chamber, and you get, like you said, everybody gets a sense of ownership, and they start forming these cliques, and all of a sudden you're playing a WoW clone type of game, and they all of a sudden want to make it into a crafting exploration game when it's all about combat, or they want to make it like, hey, I want, this is World of Warcraft, our leveling curve is 72 hours. Oh no, it needs to be 100 days. This game is garbage, and the rail. So I mean, long story short, I like the idea that Crowfall is doing everything kind of out in the open. You're going to be streaming the NDA. You're going to see the game development,
Yes.
live essentially. And I think what would benefit you guys is, instead of saying this is alpha and this is our game, you should turn it into more of a reality show than anything else. Is watch the game being developed. So you can curb players' expectations. So oh, this game sucks. It's in alpha. Look at this. It's garbage.
That's exactly the reason. Gordon has said before, the reason we're not going to have an NDA isn't because of the crowdfunding thing. It's because NDAs don't work.
No,
they don't work. They cause more stress than they alleviate. And also, as far as people helping to develop the game, and I think that's where the experience that we have on the Crowfall team, this ain't nobody's first rodeo. Even
Sure.
I think Charlie is one of the youngest people on the team, but it ain't his first rodeo either. And as much as we value the opinions of our customers and future players, and as much as we want feedback and we'll seek it out and we'll listen to it, there are going to be times when, this is Gordon's favorite word, no.
Yep.
It's not going to happen, and hopefully we'll be very transparent about that.
Well, I mean,
and explain if there's some some interdependency or some reason why we can't make these changes that are being asked for.
And
I like that, because I talked about this in the beginning of, I think, one of our first podcasts. Was one of the things that I like, or webcasts, one of the things I really like from development teams is they don't say yes to everything. It's okay to say no.
Yes.
I think the biggest important thing that you could take out of all this is transparency. If you're transparent with the reason why this may not work, or why you thought about it and you're not shutting down ideas, but you actually have a specific reason as to why that mechanic isn't going to fit within this game, then that's fine. Yeah, you're going to have some butthurt people. It's going to happen no matter what. We have butthurt people now, and the game is still being developed. So it's going to happen. But from a development and community standpoint, I know that from working with developers in the past, is the transparency is one of those things that communities really love. They don't like to be in the dark.
Well, but I've also been a part of projects in the past where they talk about transparency, and it is a big, fat lie.
Oh yeah.
Elder Scrolls.
So I am proud to
Age
be
of
part of a
Conan.
team now
Yep.
that when, I've said this about Gordon before, Gordon means what he says, and he says what he means. And I have utmost respect for that. I would say nicer things about Todd, or more nice things about Todd, but I don't know Todd as well as I know Gordon.
Well,
But what I've seen so far, I have that same level of admiration for.
You're going to have an interesting job. I mean, because the point I was trying to make before is, you have all these alpha communities, and they're secret, and they're trying to drive the game in a certain direction.
Yes.
And usually the community I've seen transitions. It goes from alpha to beta, and you get a small 200-person community, and then all of a sudden you have thousands upon thousands of people. All of a sudden they start feeling like, oh, you're taking my game away from me, because I spent all this time trying to develop it in a certain way for some reason on the forums. And that sunshine, I can't think of the best way to kind of describe this, but you get the voices, the loud voices of the minority, and people start thinking they're part of the majority. When you're everybody comes up, no, that's a dumb idea, please don't do it, and then that's what I'm getting at, is that open development allows more
mob bosses and
in,
dungeons
and
to
you can
Crowfall.
Oh well.
Well, the other thing that we will see is that, and I've seen this in every project I've worked on, is that because the stage that we're in now, where it's all out of speculation and jumping to conclusions and trying to figure out what's going to happen, how things are going to be. So you have people who develop who've developed the game in their minds already, and so when the game actually is handed to them, it's not what they thought it was going to be. It's not what they wanted, and they're disappointed, and a lot of them will drop off. It's not what they wanted, and it's not what they signed up for, and they'll go away, and it's unfortunate, but it's going to happen. It's just inevitable. It's the nature of the beast. So there.
I'm going to stop right here and just to make sure if anybody wants to do for the after show, please get GameVox right now. There's going to be a link somewhere. Valor's going to put it. I think we put it below Twitch, the stream. Like, did we do that pre-game? So you can scroll down, you can find it.
Yeah, you can click on it.
Download it. We need at least a couple people to test this out. So make sure you do that. I think the last point I want to make, Pann, before we're going to take some questions from Twitch chat right now, is this is incredibly greedy request or question is, when we ask you guys to come on, I mean, you guys have been excellent about helping us kind of promote the show and answer questions, and I know Tom and Gordon and a lot of guys are always in chat, kind of hanging out and doing that type of stuff. But you also mentioned that you need to be careful about who you favorite and who you basically spread the love around, so to speak. Is there any kind of conscious effort to make sure you get around to all the different type of media outlets out there, and you don't want to play any favorites, or is that something you're just kind of treading lightly right now?
At this point, we really don't have a lot to say publicly. So, I'm doing your podcast because I can't offer up a developer right now. Webcast. See? Yeah, I got myself. I owe myself a quarter now.
I'm gonna have to go check
anyway, so I do have on my to-do list is a thing like to work out a schedule and make sure that we are nonpartisan. And spread the love around as much as we can. And back in the day, we would always focus on get coverage. Not we as in at Artcraft, but like other companies
Right.
I've worked at. I always wanted like the biggest audience. Who gets the most hits. But an interesting thing about MMORPG is that Craig, the guy who started it, we started out at the same time. Like I was brand new community manager. He had just started the site, and there were other sites that were huge. The IGN, a lot of them are all gone now. GameSpot was really big back then. Mm-hmm. Now GameSpot isn't really for MMOs, but so we kind of grew up together, and we would do a lot of stuff with them. And I always keep it in the back of my mind that somebody who may just be a podcaster with an audience of 100 now could one day just catch on fire, and I would like to know that I was good to that person, that I built nice karma with that person. Right. So it is important to me to try to not play favorites and to kind of spread the love around. So
let's break down to brass tacks. How long do we have to wait to have you back on then? What's the rotate? Is it 30 days? Is it 6 weeks? We want to have you back on. It was a good show.
Every anniversary, right?
Oh, thank you.
We had a really low TTP. I mean, you're going to struggle to find. You're really going to struggle to find this. And for everybody who's watching, we'll explain in the after show.
Yes, in the after show.
I don't want to put a date on it. I mean,
you have to right now.
I'll chat with you anytime. You have me on Skype now. If you get lonely for me, you can always just ring me up.
There you go. We'll see how that goes.
No, seriously, that is important to me to make some kind of schedule, but I do think, like right now, I have to let the team focus on getting some of this stuff put together. I mean, there are still a lot of questions we can't answer for ourselves.
You mean they're building a game?
Yeah, they're actually building a game.
I thought that was just for the Kickstarter. Anyway.
Yeah, we got the money. Like that's why you only have me. The rest of them are off in Vegas right now.
Yeah, right. All right, Valor. We've got a ton of questions in chat. We want to pull them up and go from there.
Got a couple for sure. When does the store open up? People are wanting to buy T-shirts.
Oh, sorry. This shirt, my Crows Before Host shirt, will not be in the store. But I wish that I would love to have one that has like the Crowfall logo on the back.
Can you send me that? Or not that one, but one like that. Like I really want that shirt.
I get that you live in Hawaii, but you're still in the United States, so you can still order this stuff. You want like one of these?
No, I want the Crows Before Host.
That's a Game of Thrones.
Dude, I ordered this off of Amazon, but I would. Oh, there's your wife. Hi, Mrs. Hi.
I've got mine locked out of the room.
She's got fans already. It's excellent.
I'm gonna call her over. Anyway, to answer your question, very very soon. Hello, nice to see you. I dig the Pebbles look. Like y'all play Pebbles and Bam Bam like later.
Oh my god!
After
Wow.
Blake just got a new nickname.
Bam Bam. If it's
Oh my God. It's so perfect.
Anyway,
It's just
very soon for the store. I don't know if I'm allowed to say, but we will announce it very soon, and I'm very excited about it.
All right.
Good.
Another one was how much planning and organization have you done to get ready for the Alpha 1 sub-community? And we'll say pre-alpha because that's going to be a piece as well. Will there be sub-communities? Will there be forums that people can't see? Do you have a plan for that yet, or are we still a couple months out?
This isn't something that I have discussed specifically with the team, but I'm going to go out on a limb here. This is something I rarely do. I'm going to speculate. Because we don't have an NDA, I don't see any reason why we would have an alpha-only forum.
That makes sense.
I really don't. I would vote against it.
We're having the same conversation within LOTD about we have our own private board for discussing operations that we're doing with different games. There's no reason to. We can just kind of make this public to our community and talk about it. So that'd be cool. I don't think we've seen a lot, especially in MMOs. And just kind of doing a little rapid fire here. Do you plan on having structured and private subforum? Oh, this is the same thing. Why did I go into this? Oh, based on Kickstarter pledge ranks. I just think this is a funny question. Will there be Sapphire, Amber, Ruby? What's Bloodstone? Is that one? Private forums specifically for these pledgers. Pledge tiers.
No. There's so much more I want to say, and I'm just going to stop.
What could ever go wrong? I mean, how could anyone be upset about any of that?
No, see, you have to have different pledge tiers have their own forums, but the higher pledge tier you have, you can see all of them beneath you.
All of them beneath
so you can mock the people that don't have as much money as you.
I'm just saying. I mean, that's...
Come on, right?
It sounds like a great idea to me.
Like, this doesn't belong below Sapphire, guys. Like, we shouldn't be talking about
I
this
want
right
to call all the gold
Totally.
people pores.
This is totally just backer level.
Okay, but I do have to say this, like, we talk all the time, like, anytime I post something on the website or we're sending out an email, there's always the thing about thanking people for backing us. That, I don't care if we say it 100 times, if we say it 1,000,000 times, we mean it. I mean, genuinely mean it for the 1,000,000th time, the same as we did the first time we said it. Mm-hmm. So I do need to throw that out there, and whether it's somebody who only put in $10, Gordon will hate me for saying this. Gordon thinks everybody should put in $1 million.
Yeah, because he gets it.
That's how we feed our families and pay our bills. I mean, this is how we make the game. But
we understand. I mean, like any amount of money that somebody gives to a game based on text and a couple videos is truly a great thing because you have that, you share in that vision that everybody has, and $1 or $1,000 is the same, really, honestly.
The day that I went in to talk to Gordon and Todd about the job, and we were talking about the whole Kickstarter thing, and I said, Kickstarter still kind of baffles me because you're paying for a promise, and I've had men break promises to me before, so it's really hard to trust.
It is. Actually, that is a perfect segue into the next question. Did you seek out the position, or did they recruit you? If you can talk about that.
Oh, I can talk about it. Yeah. So,
because I applied, by the way. I'm just kidding.
No.
That's right. You're in the military or something in Hawaii. You don't want to move to Austin. Although Austin is pretty cool.
Don't move here. If you love Austin, don't move here.
Yeah, you can visit. You can stay at my house.
Come south by.
So I'll bring pebbles.
Gordon and Raph and Bill Dalton, who's our VP of Engineering, we were all on the GDC Board of Advisors together. So that's when I really got to know those guys. Gordon I knew I was a UO player, and he was the executive producer for UO back in the day. So the first I ever knew of Gordon was him saying no to the UO community. And then we just kind of had a nodding acquaintance as I got into the game industry, but really got to know him once we were on that advisory board together. So what was it? A few weeks ago, a little over a month ago, Gordon sent me a Facebook message and said, "Hey, we should catch up." And I said, "That would be great." And he said, "Do you have time for a phone call, or can you visit the office today?" And I said, "Sure." And I was there, I guess, in the afternoon for a few hours, met Todd for the first time, talked with Tully, and then the next day he made me an offer I couldn't refuse.
There we go. Excellent.
I was so fangirl about it because I really was excited about this game and about being part of this. So it wasn't just, I need a job, I got some bills to pay.
Yep.
I've wanted to work with Gordon for a long, long time. Yeah. So
We're a little bit excited about the game as well.
good.
Yes,
Thank
just
a little.
Just a little bit. We're only putting on a show weekly, and somehow coming up with an entertaining show every single week. I want to thank Valor for actually keeping on my ass on a weekly basis to make the show good. So he's the brains behind the operation. I'm just the loud voice, I think. I think we can all agree upon that.
A soothing, loud voice.
Yeah,
I'm trying.
Yeah. Do we have any more questions, Valor, or do we?
That was everything that came up. And anyone else who obviously asked questions that I didn't see.
Okay. Well, we went pretty long. I think we went about we're about at the hour mark.
Hour and 10.
If not a little bit later. Let's swap this out. I'm going to do a quick plug for my website, cf.gg, for all your Crowfall news. I was out on the road for a couple days, so the last update did not go up. I apologize. We'll be fixing that in the next day or so. Pann, thank you very much for for coming on. I think we had a really fun time talking about all MMOs and community stuff. Can't wait for you to have you back on. Feel free to stay on for the after show if you wanna hang out and chill and talk about TTP and all this other stuff.
We're going
guys,
there.
Lakes, Valor, thanks for coming on, and as usual, and doing what you guys do. Social media is down below. Follow us all. Make sure you at least hit follow and like and all the other stuff down here on Twitch.
Subscribe on Twitch.
Subscribe.
At least.
Favorite us on Twitch.
Favorite.
We don't have a subscribe button yet. We need you guys to come on there, and every single
Follow, boys.
Follow.
You guys are not
Follow.
with the hip to the jive.
No, we need more followers to get the subscribe button.
Yeah.
So,
let me say thank you to all of you. Thank you to everybody that tuned in, and just I really mean this from the bottom of my heart. It is so cool to see people excited about this game. I've worked on some projects that I wasn't particularly proud of, and people call my baby ugly and that sort of thing. So it's awesome to feel all of this excitement. I mean, you guys do this podcast about a game that is still pretty far off into the future. Yeah. And that's amazing to me. And so I get excited that you guys are so excited. So thank you for having me. Thanks for giving me this chance to shoot off my mouth and stuff.
Yeah.
Ladies, it's not the after show yet. Put that drink down. All right, buddy. All right, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week. We're going to be back on. Well, actually, next week is probably going to be a little bit of a different day too, because I'm going to be out of state for the Tuesday.
We might have to do another Wednesday show.
No,
I'm going to be moving. We'll have to see how it works. We're all troopers, so
we'll put out a definite time. I think on Monday. And I think we might be aiming for Thursday next week.
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter, exactly. The only
Twitter.
reason to follow us on Twitter when the next show is. All right, guys, we're gonna do a quick pause. I'm gonna stop streaming for a moment, and then we're gonna come back up on the after show.
We've got like 5 or 6 people in GameBox.
Yeah, so people
don't leave. We'll get you.
Yep. You're gonna have to refresh your page.
Let me get another beer.
Yeah,
please.
we're gonna have to refresh the page. If the stream doesn't pop back on. Anyway, guys, thank you very much. We'll see you next week, and take care.
Bye.